should be. Check, make sure YouTube is working. But I think it is. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Welcome to another live video on YouTube. Hopefully you are enjoying your day. Also wanted to just begin by saying I think I've been doing this like over 20 years now, not on YouTube. YouTube has only been, I think, 14, which is still a long time. But there are many things you could be doing with your time, and I appreciate you being here with me. I still get to teach and work on my ideas and try to help people get fluent as fast as possible. And so that's what I'm talking about in this video. So I will be releasing a book very soon, and I wanted to talk about some more ideas from the book to help you get fluent even faster. All right, looks like people are in the house over here. Claudia, nice to see you there. Raul, nice to see you there as well. So as usual, I will try to keep the lesson portion of this quick in the beginning of the video, and if people have questions, I can answer those for you. I will keep my eye on the chat as I go through, but hopefully, let's see, I'll take a look actually at some quick comments here. Sergio, nice to see you there. Vicente. Good night. So remember, good night is what you say right before you go to sleep. If it's just in the evening, you would say good afternoon. Julia, nice to see you there. Good afternoon. And says hello. And Omema, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Could you please explain to me what does soberly dressed mean? Just Google that. That's actually a good thing to do if you're talking about like people being dressed in a certain way. Rather than me giving you an explanation, Google that and actually do a Google image search for that. And I promise you will be excited about what you find. Julie, nice to see you there. I'm here learning English. Good morning from Vietnam. And let's get started. All right. So I remembered actually a story. This is something that happened to me a few years ago. This is after I had already been teaching, so I forget when did this happen? It was a couple years ago, but I had already been teaching in the classroom for many years and teaching online also, and helping people even learning here on YouTube. But I got a call from an old elementary school friend, and we were just catching up. If you don't know this phrase already, to catch up. You can think about this in a physical way if you're in a race. So one person is running and maybe the red marker is faster than the black marker here. And so the black marker has to run faster to catch up. So we use this same phrase, catching up, when we're talking about what happened in your life. So I haven't seen this friend or talked with them in many, many years. And so it was nice to catch up. So all the things we missed, we get to talk about those kinds of things. And anyway, it was just an interesting conversation. But something about that conversation I thought I would share with you is when she asked what I was doing and I asked her what she was doing, she told me she was an accountant. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. And then when she asked what I do, I said, well, I help people speak English. And she said, I knew it. And I said, what do you mean you knew it? And she said, well, you were always a good teacher. And I thought, really? I don't know. I don't remember that. It's certainly from many years ago. But she told me about a specific experience where I helped her learn something. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And she said, well, back in fourth grade or whenever it was, so we were in elementary school, just kids together. She said, I was having trouble spelling the word extraordinary. And I said, oh, and so what happened? And she said, well, you said, oh, do you know how to spell extra? And she was like, yeah, extra, like E-X-E-X-T-R-A. And I said, do you know how to spell ordinary? Ordinary, so ordinary. And she said, yeah, I know how to spell ordinary. I said, well, just put them together. Then you got extraordinary. and like a light bulb clicked, like a light bulb went off, or, she had that kind of click moment where she realized what I often call aha moments. This is what natives call that moment, like, now I get it. So she was able to make a connection. It sounds like a different word. We've got extra and then ordinary, but we put them together to make extraordinary. But it's really, the meaning is like extraordinary, like an even more, kind of more amazing or something than an ordinary or everyday average thing. Anyway, it was amazing that she remembered that story, that experience from so many years ago. And I said, yeah, well, I kind of help people do that today while I'm teaching. And so part of what I'm talking about in my book is this same kind of idea of there are often two ways that people are trying to learn, and you've probably experienced both of them. So the first is the typical way where we try to spend a lot of time learning things. We're trying to develop the habit of speaking by getting lots of repetition and studying translations and grammar rules, and really trying to often force those ideas into our brain. And the other way that people learn is often getting these kinds of aha moments. The only problem is that these things are often kind of accidental, or maybe you need someone to give them to you or something like that. So for many years, as I was thinking about teaching, I really wanted to think about how exactly I can actually give these moments intentionally. So give them systematically so that people can get fluent faster rather than them trying to just force themselves to learn. So I'll give you another quick example. This was, I think, like a few Christmases ago. I got my kids an electricity set. So kind of playing with electrical wires and circuits and things. And so a lot of this stuff was very basic. So you had a battery. Just draw a little battery here. So you got the plus and the minus side of the battery, and you had some little wires that came with it, and a little light bulb. Here, just kind of draw a light. That's supposed to be a light bulb. Anyway, so I was talking with my kids and saying, how can we get this to turn the light bulb on? And just looking at the different pieces, it's basically a puzzle. So if you don't know anything about how batteries connect to power, or batteries supply power to turn on something like a light bulb, then you can kind of look at this and think, all right, well, with a little bit of information, without me just telling them the answer, it's like, okay, how does this connect? So you can try to connect maybe this wire and then this other wire to, there's little points on the excuse me, on the light bulb. Pardon me, I got like some stuff in my throat. So if you try to connect, draw this a little bit better for you. So, my girls, they might try to take the wires and connect them like that, and then nothing happens. And so I say, well, we have a way of testing whether or not we can figure this out. How can we get this to work? And so maybe try like putting one wire going on one side and one wire going on the other, and the light bulb goes on. And so this is often what happens, and this is what happened with my friend when she understood extraordinary. So there was basically a missing piece. It was kind of like a puzzle, and she wasn't able to understand something. But I used just a very simple way of helping her understand something new with something she already knew. All right, so like taking some new information and helping her make that connection with something she already had. And in her case, she already knew how to spell extra and she knew how to spell ordinary, but she wasn't making the connection that like extraordinary was basically those two words together. So once she saw that, that was the missing piece, and that allowed her to understand the language well, or make that connection. Now, what's interesting about typical language learning, and this is not just for people learning translations, this is also for people who watch a lot of native content or read books or movies or whatever. Often it's kind of like a puzzle, but you're missing some of the pieces. And so often it's impossible for you to get the understanding you need to feel confident about speaking. So the broader idea of the book is beginning with how do we actually speak, and then work back to finding the method that gets us there. So most people work on this problem in the opposite way. They think, okay, I'm going to try this method and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I'll try this method and then this method and then this method. But it's a really long and frustrating and exhausting process. I know because I went through it as I was trying to learn different languages. I would try this method and that didn't work, and I would try this thing over here and try and listen to lots of different advice and still not getting fluent. So when people were trying to explain to me these different things, they were trying to almost like a puzzle. They weren't giving me all the pieces I need. And this isn't just other people, but even the ways I was trying to learn by myself. So what I discovered is that there are basically four. It was pretty simple. Like, you just kind of think about the ways I teach, the specific things I do. And I reveal these in the book because I want to show people how to do them themselves. So you can do them without waiting for a teacher or anything. It's certainly helpful if you do have someone. You can get fluent faster, but it's very possible for you to become fluent much faster by yourself just by understanding how the brain learns. So when you understand how you want to learn and how you can make these kinds of aha moments happen intentionally, then you can make them happen a lot faster. They're not just random things that happen to you. So that's the basic idea. And one of those four things is just using prior knowledge. So in the case of the puzzle, this example here, like another example I've given, I think on the videos or in emails before, is a lesson about how my mom taught me. I was at an opera with my mom, in an Italian opera when I was a kid, and there's the stage like this, and you had a screen up above the people performing. So we're sitting down here in the seating area and watching the performers, and there's words up here on the screen. And I said, oh, are those subtitles for the translation? And she said, yes. Those are for the translation. So we have the English up here because they're singing in Italian, and that way we can understand what's happening. But she said, actually, subtitles go at the bottom of a screen. Usually if you have a movie or even watching YouTube here, we will have subtitles. So subtitles at the bottom of the screen, and we have subtitles, sub, like at the bottom, like a submarine going underwater. These are called supertitles. Just like Superman. And so again, this is another example of how my mom was able to take prior information I already knew, and instead of just giving me the answer, this is the important part about how good learning works. Whether you're doing it yourself or someone is helping you do it, you want to give the conditions where if you have all the pieces of the puzzle, then you can solve it yourself. And when you solve it yourself, you feel much more excited and confident because it's your information now. You discovered that. It's not like a teacher just gave you a translation. You actually feel like you learned something. And that feeling, you actually feel it, that aha moment that happens for all of these examples. So if I give my daughters this and I don't give them one of the wires and I say, okay, try to make this happen, I'm actually just making it more difficult for them to understand how electricity works and for wanting to feel motivated and excited about that. Of course, when my girls figured out how to do it, they felt very excited. Look at that. We learned how to make the light bulb turn on by completing the circuit. And your brain works the same way when you complete information. It's like, okay, now I understand that thing. So I just wanted to talk about that. There are a couple different very simple principles that you can apply. And when I was thinking about this, and I've been planning out the book for a long time, and I'm excited to release it very soon. The first version should be out. I don't know when I'm going to do it. This will be a digital version of the book, but it talks about that. So the prior knowledge and then the other kinds of puzzle solving principles that get applied for everything. So these things get applied for things like stories, which I've given you here, or other ways that you might be learning. But the point is, it is possible to get these aha moments intentionally on purpose, so that way you can make them happen much faster. You can experience them all the time, and as you start getting lots of aha moments, then the whole process becomes a lot more fun and interesting because, wow, I actually understand what I'm learning. And people already like doing puzzles because we like having that process of solving things. It's just that a lot of traditional and even methods that natives are using don't actually give you all the pieces you need to solve the puzzle. But when you have that, that's when you start feeling more confident and fluent, and that's when you really start speaking. So the book will be going through those steps and explaining like how I came to those ideas and how you can start doing that too. It's a very practical book. This is not about like difficult theory about language learning. It's just really making it clear that if you don't feel confident before you speak, it will be a lot more difficult for you to try to speak to become confident, which is what a lot of people do. So this is the opposite approach. It's really just an alternative way to get fluent, especially for people who either can't speak because they don't have anyone to talk with, or speaking is just really uncomfortable because nobody really likes making mistakes in front of other people as they learn. Anyway, that's the whole point of the book. I just wanted to share that a little bit with you. If you have any questions about that or other things maybe you're struggling with that I can help you get some aha moments in this video, I'd love to do that for you. And I'll go back and look at chat as I do that. So if you have any questions, let me know. But that's the basic idea. Language learning should feel like a fun puzzle, but often it's like a shitty puzzle, like a bad puzzle. And so that's why a lot of people end up disliking language learning. But there's nothing intrinsic. Intrinsic just means about language learning itself that makes it difficult. It's just if you can think about what your brain is actually doing when you understand things, that's where you can make that magic happen on purpose. All right, let's see. Y-Fun says, hello, teacher. MBO, hello, teacher. Antonio, good evening from Brazil. Esther says, hello. And Doctor says, hello, teacher. Certainly was very good idea. I like that very much. Glad to hear it. Yaya says, good morning from Yemen. I'm a physical therapist. Very interesting. Antonio, it's nice to have you with us. Well, it's nice to be here. Esther from Wisconsin. Rolla again. An says, what does it mean to bump into? Good question. So instead of giving you a translation, like imagine we've got two people over here. So we got one person walking, maybe they're like looking that way and I kind of bump into something like that. It's not like a hard thing. I'm just kind of tapping it lightly. So this is the physical use of the phrasal verb to bump into. It's a gentle pushing. You didn't do something. Maybe I'm walking and I kind of bumped into this whiteboard over here. So we could talk about this physical example, or we could use that even if you're not physically hitting someone. For example, I might walk, like bump into a friend of mine on the train. I don't physically touch him, but I see him accidentally. So we could say I ran into him on the train, or I bumped into him on the train. And in that case, we're not physically hitting, but you can see the difference if we have two cars on like just the physical explanation of it. This is to bump into something, but if you like run into something, it's much faster. If you crash into something, then it becomes, wow, an even more explosive kind of thing. But again, what I'm showing here, giving you examples in English, helping you contrast different things. Hopefully you're starting to see some of these pieces about the way I teach. As people who read the book will be like, I know exactly what Drew is doing now when he teaches. And that'll be great because then people can start doing it more for themselves. All right, so hopefully people got an aha moment or two from that example. Let me know if that makes sense for you. All right, what did I miss here? Let's see. Sergio says, teacher, what is the difference between have just and just? This is a trickier one to answer because it depends on the context. And often what I remind people of is you don't want to just look at vocabulary by itself. You want to look at vocabulary in particular situations. So if you're talking about like just doing something, like I've finished doing something, let me erase the board and we'll try to help make this clear for you. Another point I'll make is there are often multiple ways to say things without any real difference in meaning. So I could say, hey, or hi, or what's up, or how's it going? They're all just greetings, but there's no There's not really an important difference there. It's just different ways of expressing a greeting. So if we talk about doing something in the past, so we'll give ourselves a little timeline here. So here is now. We'll just say yesterday at like 10 o'clock in the afternoon. So if I say yesterday at this point, or maybe some activity was happening around this time, I could say like I played, let's say baseball. So yesterday I played baseball. But if something just happened, like right now, like something immediately like, oh, I just played baseball. And often we use just did something when like maybe some information comes out where a friend of mine says, hey, I was playing baseball at the park today, maybe a different park unrelated to me. And I say, oh, I just played baseball too. So I just played baseball too. So I was also playing the game. So in this way, like I'm describing something that just happened rather than at some point in the past. So for this, like I can still describe it as I played baseball. But just is we're really trying to say that it's a fairly recent thing, like it almost happened. Now, if we want to talk about like I have just, like it's basically the same meaning for this situation. So let's say like I have just played, like it's basically the same thing for this. So it's, let me see here, I've got to just write this like I have just played baseball. Like it could mean maybe we're doing something right now, or like we have been doing it for a while. But in general, like have just and I just played baseball are basically the same thing. So often we will use have more talking about like just have by itself. We will look at that more as just like a connection to an experience that we now have. So I have green eyes and I have played baseball. So at some point in the past, I have that experience and I'm still having that experience. So even though I have a blue shirt or I have green eyes, I have played baseball, like I have experienced doing something. So you can say for this situation right here, something that happened very recently, I have just played baseball or I just played baseball. Both of those mean the same thing. All right, let me know if you have any questions about that. Then we get a fire truck or something. Let's see here. As it says, hello to J. Aha moment. I like it. CNC. Hi there, dude. Long time. No, you would say long time no see. Long time no see. I know it doesn't sound grammatically correct, but that's how we express it. Long time no see. Let's see. Omi is again asking, does soberly dressed mean he dressed elegantly or simply? Google it. Do a Google image search. Look, some things are going to be easier if you see them. It's like if someone asked me, what does an orange taste like? I could try to explain it to you, but it's much easier if you just taste the orange. So do a Google image search, not a regular word search, an image search, and see what it looks like. What kind of examples do you get? You tell me. I bet you can figure it out. So I'm trying to give you the opportunity to have that aha moment when you look at a bunch of different images of something. So if I give you a new word, like an animal name or something, and you don't know what that is, I could try to describe it for you, or you could just see what it looks like. So if you're talking about like shabbily dressed, for example, what does that mean? What does it mean to be shabbily dressed? Google it, do an image search where you can see a bunch of different examples together, and that will help you understand how it works. So I'm not trying to be lazy. This is trying to help you understand it and make sure you understand how to learn. That way you don't need to ask a teacher when you want to figure something out. Let's see. Hello, I'm a Korean. I'm a Haney. Nice to see you there. I met a Korean guy here in Japan a couple days ago. Very nice guy. He actually spoke some English. I'm guessing Miss Haney, but nice to see you there. And let's see, I don't know if that's I can't read the Cyrillic, but like, hello teacher, what is the best way to learn pronunciation and understand English by ear? Just learn phonetic sounds one by one until you can pronounce them and hear them clearly. Good question. For pronunciation, there are basically two things that I recommend people do. The first one, like you're saying, is learning the individual sounds that natives make. So that's why I made Frederick. So Frederick is in the description below this video. So if you click on that, you can learn more about this. But that will teach you all of the individual sounds that natives make and go up through 2,000 words and sentences. So it will teach you a lot of vocabulary and grammar and also give you the other part of pronunciation, which is seeing how natives blend their sounds. So the point is to do this systematically, like we do this in the app. So if you'd like to improve your listening and pronunciation, just go in the description and download Frederick. You will get that. It's at the App Store or Google Play. So again, hearing that, the individual sounds within the app and also hearing how they blend, but listening to lots of examples of natives and how they speak, whether you get that from movies or YouTube or something like Fluent for Life, where we help people learn with all those examples in a systematic way. Again, the systematic point is really important for learning. A lot of people get native examples, but it's just not systematic. So they don't really remember things and they often don't get those aha moments about learning. So again, those two things, you can either do them by yourself or just do them the easier way with getting examples from Frederick and looking up specific sounds on YouTube in the same way. Mohammed says, I have a question. I have been in the US for 3 years. I improved a lot from my specific career field. I know I need to learn also terminology. Is there any suggestion to be able to talk terminology in job meeting? I don't understand what you mean. If you're talking about, are you not in the career already? Is that what you mean? Like when you talk about learn for your career, does that mean you're not working yet? You're trying to learn specific vocabulary for a career before you start working, or what? Because if you were already working, just talk with the people there. If you are not working yet, then I would just recommend going to YouTube and getting lots of information about that particular thing. You will find people talking about the industry or talking about different parts of the industry, whatever it is. But typically you can find that information already there. Let's see, Rolla says, it's super title. Yeah, exactly. Priyan says, happy to see you, sir. I have been waiting for your videos. Well, you've got lots of them. You probably haven't seen all of them yet, but there are many to enjoy on our channel. Rolla says, let's see, context and content. What's the difference? Well, context, you're talking about kind of the area around something, and content just means information. So if I'm talking about let's say I draw if I just give you some content, for example, content just means information and it might not even be organized. So if I just say like dog and bite and then, I don't know, like eye. So let's say this is some content right here. It's just information. And again, it might not make sense. Like it's just some words. This is not a grammatically correct sentence. So if I give you some, let's say, pieces of paper with these three things on them, you're not really understanding much. So context allows you to put this information into some kind of system where you can understand it well. So an example might be like, I bite the dog. So I bite the dog. So now we have a bit more context. Like you know, like today I'm telling you about my day and I saw a dog and the dog was trying to bite me, but I bit the dog instead. So that's actually getting some context, and context is usually the broader picture where you find something, and content, again, just means information. Again, and also if you don't have a teacher to answer questions for you, like this is the kind of thing ChatGPT can do, Google can do this as well. But the important thing here is trying to get the understanding of something, like when you're getting aha moments where you actually understand the information because you discovered something rather than just getting an answer. And so that's why the way I teach is more about giving you the conditions that you can discover something. Okay? So if I can do that, you will get that aha moment where you feel confident and certain, and that's when you start using something correctly. So you should be thinking, okay, now I get it. So if I do my job well, then you understand something well, and then you can use it. Okay? So content is just information, like could be video information or text or whatever. Usually when people think about content, it should be information with a purpose to it. But again, context usually means there's some kind of environment or the broader picture where you find something. I can't read, looks like Hebrew there. Hello, Drew, from Brazil. Learning a new language seems like a never-ending puzzle. You got to enjoy the process. Yes, but what I'll be talking about in the video is how it, or in the book, is how it should be a process you enjoy. So a lot of people play video games or little games on their phone, or they like reading a mystery or watching a mystery novel or like a TV show, something like that, because it's fun to solve the puzzle. We like getting the pieces and then putting that last piece together to make the connection. Like that's what we call that light bulb moment, the aha moment. And often what language learning does is it doesn't give you all the pieces you need to make that connection. That's why it feels like such a never-ending and frustrating process. Now, maybe you mean like it's actually just like a fun thing and there's always more to enjoy, like there are always more new words or whatever. So even me, I can learn new things in English all the time. I don't know the whole language. I do know how to speak very well, and I know a lot of words, but there are many things I don't know. So anyway, if you're only talking about like just there's always more to learn and you should enjoy it, that's great. But in general, typically we have imagine a tree. Let me erase this. Have raw, this kind of sugary flavor on top of your pancakes or whatever. But breaking the seal, breaking the skin, just like a needle going into your skin, we tap into something and then we can start getting that, and people fill up a bucket like this from the tree with the maple syrup. So to tap into something, this is one example of that. Another example might be if I'm listening to a conversation, maybe there's a conversation, this person is talking to this person over here, and I tap into that conversation, I'm able to connect to that thing. So another example of tapping into something. We often talk about a wire tap in that way. So like tapping someone's phone, it means another person is trying to listen to those persons or that person's conversations. So to tap into something like that. But notice, as you get multiple examples of things, it will help you understand them and feel more confident about using them. Isn't that interesting? So all I'm doing when I'm teaching is I'm just following a few basic principles and combining them in different ways to make people understand things. But it is possible for you to do these things by yourself. And so if you have a question like, what is tap into? There are many ways you can do that. And I do recommend doing a Google image search so you can figure things out like that. You will see a lot of examples, even for things that are maybe not physical like that. Let's see. And Sergio says, thank you, teacher. And Vargas says he was just in posing such a question. Let's see. Thank you, Professor, so much. And sorry for bothering, but I just found some men dressed in an elegant way, so I think I didn't get it. Well, again, then if you think you're wearing, if you see some people wearing, I'll do a Google image search right now. Let's see here. Go to Google and do sobering dress. Well, let's see what I get. And it looks like a bunch of elegant, kind of nicer looking dresses. And you could get more information after that. Like you just type what is a sobering dress? It's like, is it like ugly clothes, or is it, nice, clean clothes? You could go more, try to get more information in here. And the reason I'm trying to explain it this way is because if you go and spend even a little bit of your own time and energy to try to figure these things out, you will actually remember it. Okay, that's why I'm recommending you do that. So I had to learn these things in the same way, and it's just like figuring things out. I promise you, if you just get a definition or a translation of something, you will probably forget it. So take that little bit of extra time and actually see if you can understand something. The whole point is to understand it like a native, and that's how you do it. All right, let's see. Apostle says, lucky me today has just found you online. Thank you so much for the good job. I'm one of your students here in South Africa. Well, that's great. Welcome to the party. Remember, you don't have to catch me live in order to enjoy the videos. The content is exactly the same. There's that word content. Again, the information is still the same. Mohammed says, I am trying to learn getting ready for job interviews. Sergio says, it's really important, the fast English I don't like and don't use. It's really important, the fast English? I don't understand your question. Often, maybe you don't want to speak quickly, and that's fine. You can speak however you like. But often, I prepare people for other speakers who are going to be fast because natives are often faster than teachers. So in the real world, when people speak, even faster than I speak right here in this video, if I'm talking with my friends or family or whatever, I will speak faster than how I'm speaking right now. So you don't need to speak quickly, but often it's good to be prepared for other people who do. Max says, hi, Drew. In your experience, how much time a person needs to start connecting ideas and association to start talk with confidence, more or less? Thank you. It depends, because you connect with individual pieces of information as quickly as possible. That's the idea. So you don't really get fluent in the entire language. You become fluent by understanding individual words and phrases or grammar points or whatever as quickly as possible. So that's the fastest way to do it. So I can't really give an explanation about how quickly you could get fluent, but much faster than what most people typically do. I will say that. So instead of taking years to do something, often it's like the example I gave earlier in this video about having only some information to solve a puzzle. If you have only some pieces of information, but you need more and you can't get those to solve the puzzle, then you will spend a long time trying to figure that out. So a good puzzle gives you all the information you need. All right, so I gave you one example of that earlier in this video, how I helped a friend spell the word extraordinary back in elementary school just by making a connection between information she already had and the new word, which is extraordinary. So that's one way that we are able to solve puzzles. So often you see puzzles in video games or things like that, like you're playing Zelda or something. For example, like I had the game Breath of the Wild. I think the more recent one is Tears of the Kingdom, but it's same idea. So this is a video game example of something where we have, let's say there's an open pit, so like an area you can't cross. Link, so the character is over here. He's got his sword with him. He can't cross this area here, but he has to push a button over here. So this is a video game example of how this works. And there is he can't really throw anything on it. It's just like a button kind of on the ground, and he can't like throw anything on it or touch it in some way. But above this, there's like a rock on on a string, something like that. And so he could use a bow and arrow instead and shoot the string, and then the rock falls down on the button. And so that's using your knowledge that you already have about, I have this other tool I could use to solve that instead of me trying to jump across this pit, which I can't do. So I'm using some prior information I already have, but this is exactly the same thing how language learning should be. Now, if in the game, let's say you never get a bow and you don't have any way to cut that down, then this is a bad puzzle. So you might think, if I could cut that rope, then I can make this thing fall down and turn on the switch or whatever, but I don't have a way to do that. And so that would just be a horrible game, because it's like an interesting idea, but it doesn't let you solve the puzzle. So it's frustrating for you. So a lot of language learning is like this, even though it should be more like an actual good puzzle. It should be a fun thing that people enjoy. And so when I struggled for over 15 years to learn different languages, and I was really frustrated, like, why is it like this? It feels like I'm trying to solve a puzzle and I don't have all the information. And I feel stupid because I don't know how to figure it out. But usually it's just because you don't get the information you need to solve the puzzle. That's the missing thing. Let's see. So hopefully I answered that question here. Nice to see you there. My name is Peter. It is so exciting that we can interact with you online. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Very nice. The problem for me right now is to maintain simple structure to spell the sentences in English. Now, when you say spell, are you talking about spelling individual words or knowing how to lay the words out in a sentence, like making a sentence structure? If it's about spelling individual words, you can get Frederick. Click on the link in the description below this video to get that. That will teach you all about spelling and pronunciation and listening, but also it will teach you about the second part of that, which is making sure you put things in the right order. And often this is another part of learning where you start recognizing patterns about how the language works. And it's important to discover those patterns for yourself if you can, rather than just someone telling you what they mean. So again, like a lot of language learning is either a bad puzzle or a teacher just telling you the answer. So you just feel like, oh, okay, I guess that's the answer. I don't really remember it. I don't feel very confident. Is that it's really important that you can try to discover things yourself when you're learning. And this doesn't mean you have to learn by yourself. It just means either you are creating the conditions that give you that, or a teacher is helping you like I do in these videos. But you can model what I'm doing to help give yourself those same kinds of aha moments. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, and Malgorzata says, hi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I like adding that little bit in there. Oh, wait, it looks like I skipped some people. CNC says, it seems to me that the most people struggle in English because we're always the ones that wants the things quickly. That's why we don't enjoy the process. Yeah, I used to think something like that. That's an interesting way to think about it, but like, it's actually that the people, it's kind of like saying that, well, we should just enjoy the bad video game. Let's enjoy the bad puzzle and just try to make the best of it. To make the best of it is like, well, let's do what we can and try to enjoy it anyway. And I say, no, that's actually wrong now. So I used to think that was like a way to do it. Like language learning is more of a psychological thing where the process is difficult, so I need to feel confident and accept that it's just going to be difficult. But now that I understand actually how the brain works and how people can learn, and I can reverse engineer those moments that give people certainty, I don't feel that way at all. I think if I'm not making it easy for people, I'm doing a bad job. And so when people are trying to learn, they should be able to understand things very easily. So it should not be a difficult process like, okay, I have to learn and it's a bad puzzle and I just have to do it anyway, and the teacher isn't giving me all the information, so I have to go study by myself and try to figure it out. That's awful. Like, a video game would not survive like that. If I made a video game like that, no one would buy it. I mean, it would be like an awful thing. But so many people do that with language learning because they assume it's supposed to be a tricky, difficult thing, but it's not. And hopefully I've shown you that in many of these videos, especially if you've seen many of them. But I'm giving you examples of how it actually is easy to understand language, and you can get fluent very quickly, and it doesn't have to be a difficult or frustrating process. All right, so don't believe that it's just like a bad thing that you have to deal with. That's not the truth. It's just how people learn. I appreciate you trying to feel good about it, though. It's good to have a positive mindset. All right, and Omema says, thank you so much. And Vittoria says, hello, can I ask When are you going to end the stream? I want to keep the stream open while sleeping. I don't know. I mean, usually these videos, they go for an hour or something. We'll see. We're at 45 minutes right now, so we'll see. It depends more on how many questions I get. So if people are still asking me questions, I try to stay until my voice stops working, and then I end the live. But again, you can put on something else that I've already done. You can put on a playlist of videos, or even make your own playlist, and it will just run whatever you like. Are you trying to get that sleep learning? Malgozada again, hi, and then ASMR Arabi says hello, and Ten says hello, Drew. I'm confused about the prepositions of and for when they go with some words like accuse of or treatment of. Could you help me clearly identify the difference between of and for? You should search my channel for these. We also talk about these in Fluent for Life, but rather than me trying to just repeat those things, look for prepositions, and it will help you understand those better. But remember, it's better not to try to understand every use of and for like you're understanding it logically. What we're trying to do is connect specific vocabulary with specific situations. So we know that the word of works here. It might not work in other places, but we do know it works here. And so it's a lot easier to understand the language that way. And I show you that. So if you search my channel for prepositions, you will find videos about that. And we got Toby, good morning from Eastern China. I like those little green faces over there. And Malgozada again says, so happy to catch you. Life regards from Poland. So you probably mean live, but yes, welcome. Jose with a hand over there. And Avlog says, how are you? I am from Uzbekistan. How does memorizing speeches can affect, how can memorizing speeches affect fluency? How can memorizing speeches affect fluency? It can help, but remember that it depends on the situation you're practicing for. So memorizing a speech or learning to play a song on the piano or even practicing like a karate punch like that, these are all things that you practice to improve and become perfect at doing. So I can play the piano song perfectly because I practiced it again and again. But in real communication, every conversation is unique. So we can't really just practice a speech and think, okay, now I will be ready. So I can't memorize dialogues in a textbook and then feel confident in conversations. But if I get lots of examples of people actually speaking, then I will feel a lot more confident when I do have those chances to speak. Okay? So the important thing here is what you're working towards. So what is the goal here? If you're trying to memorize some speeches because you regularly give speeches, then that's a good idea. It's a good thing to do. But if you're trying to prepare for real communication, it's going to be less effective for you. You really need to get lots of good examples of how people actually speak. Right. Let's see. Did I skip somebody over here? Okay. Sergio says, okay, teacher. You know, it's interesting, Sergio Leone. I don't know if that's your actual name or not, but I was just thinking about that. I forget that song. It was like, it's like from The Good and the Bad and the Ugly or something like that. But I had that song in my head this morning, actually. Vardis says, hi, dear. Can you explain the difference between twice a day and twice in a day? Twice in a day. Between twice a day and twice in a day. It's like a tricky thing. When I hear both of those examples, I think twice a day means some kind of ongoing process. So if we have here's a week, or imagine I put my rest of the days on here. So 1, 2, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I go to the doctor and the doctor says, you need to take these pills twice a day. Twice a day. That means that I will take 2 of them every day. And that's the more natural way of expressing that. So I could ask, like, just to clarify, oh, do you mean 2 in a day, like 2 pills in one day? And the doctor would say yes. But typically twice a day or once a day is the more natural way to express this. And that usually means we're doing something continually. Like it's a process that will it's not just one time. So if I go to the doctor and he's giving me 2 pills only for one day, then he just says, I want you to take both of these today, like take them like twice in a day. So if I hear it that way, I'm probably thinking it just means one day rather than like an ongoing process. So it's not for certain, but it could work like that. And that's like when I'm thinking as a native about hearing examples like that, that's what I think. All right. Rosario says, my mind just go on vacation every time I start talking. My soul leaves my body. Oh, no. Yes, I know this is a common situation for a lot of people. And again, it's not your fault. It's just really, like I've been explaining, a lot of language learning is like being in a terrible puzzle. And often if you have to learn for school or something and you don't know how to learn, it feels like a horrible situation. And so you're not able to prepare and feel confident. And that's why you have those situations like, oh my God, my soul is leaving my body, or my words are leaving my mind when I try to speak. So that's a very common thing that happens, and my book will solve that for you. My lessons hopefully are already doing that, but my book explains exactly why these things happen and what to do about it. All right, Mark says, thank you, Drew. I find you hours ago. Like you found me? Like you only just found me today? What should I do if I hear a sound but they can't say it perfectly? Sound is hard for me. ChatGPT says even though my tongue posture is okay, the sound doesn't resonate correctly with my throat. I don't get it. Part of what people struggle with in pronunciation is they're either trying to just hear the sound in isolation, or they don't get a bunch of examples of natives actually making the sound. And so that's more helpful for people because each person will sound a little bit different. So you don't have to try to sound perfect or match some exact sound. So even me, when I speak Japanese, just because I have my nose structure like this, it changes the way my voice sounds in Japanese. Like I sound less like, I can speak, good. I can even change my pronunciation, but naturally my voice is a bit more nasal because of how my nose is. So that's just a product of my physical biology. I can't really do much about that. But when you're hearing different examples, what I recommend for trying to match a particular sound, this is what I call sound transitioning. So if someone just says, like, try to match this sound, like ding, and I try to match that ding, 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 I can't quite match it, but I can transition to that thing and make it a lot easier for me to understand. For example, someone says hit this particular sound like ding, and then I say ding. Okay, like now I get it. So I'm changing the pitch of my voice. I can also change the movement or the motion or the shape of my mouth, like going from like ow, or move my tongue around and make that same thing. So if you have trouble making a sound, try to find a close sound that you can make and see if you can move your tongue or your mouth or something, change the pitch of something just a little bit to try to reach that sound. And it'll be much easier for you to hear that and then hear how you're making it as well. So don't try to do it just a straight jump to something like from here to there is quite difficult for people to do, but you can go in steps like that. You can transition to the particular sound you're trying to make. Let's see. Wife again says, hi, teacher, and I think that's an I. Is it I-P-L-L? Let's see. I think speaking and listening are more important than reading and writing because when talking to someone, you have to respond now. Writing and reading can take enough time to write. The point isn't whether speaking or reading or whatever is like more useful. The point is how quickly can you get certain about what you know. So if I get information and I don't understand it, then that's not going to help me speak. If I'm in a conversation and I don't know how to speak with people, then more conversations are not going to help me speak either. But if I can understand things and I feel confident about using them, if I'm certain, then I will speak. So the key is, what things can we do to get to certainty as quickly as possible? And so how can we get those aha moments? How can we really understand things, feel confident about them, even before we speak? That way, when we get into conversations, we do express ourselves well. So that's the point of my book. Victoria again, I saw on the internet watching English videos while sleeping actually works. I don't know if it's true, but I guess I'll just figure it out soon. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. But again, it's like let's say there are probably things you enjoy doing, like watching movies or reading books, even in your native language. So whatever that thing is, like if there is a video game that I enjoy playing, or a book I enjoy reading, or even a meal that I enjoy eating, would I try to do sleep eating or something like that? No, I enjoy the thing, so I would actually do it while I'm awake. And so people are often looking for ways to help the brain learn subconsciously, like while they're sleeping, or hypnotizing themselves or something like that, because traditional methods, and not even only traditional methods, but lots of methods, are just crappy puzzles. And so it's not fun to do it, so people are like, okay, I'll let my brain listen to this crappy puzzle while I'm sleeping instead. And so the important thing is getting good content that you actually understand, that really gives you those aha moments. And when you get that, you don't need to worry about sleeping to learn. I suppose if you don't have any time, maybe that's the only time you have to learn English, then maybe you could do that. But typically the things you enjoy doing, you just naturally do them while you're awake. And if language learning is actually enjoyable, then you will do it as well. Pardon me. I need to take a break. I got a different kind of water today. All right. Let's continue here. So lots of good questions, though. And then I can't read that. Looks like more Cyrillic. Of course, I have problems with spelling the individual words, but I meant the connection between words. Yeah. So I wanted to get some simple understanding how to use words, grammar rules with words. Yeah. Get Frederick. It will do that for you. So it begins with very simple phrases and then sentences, and it will really give you that understanding of how to use the language correctly. It teaches you the same way natives learn, but in a very systematic way. So it's even faster, actually, than how natives are learning. Taco says, if I listen to people and I almost hear individual word in the sentence, do I need to stick to the sentence until I understand? I don't quite understand what your question is asking. Could you rephrase that? If I listen to people and I almost hear individual words in the sentence, do I need to stick to that sentence until I understand? Well, all right, let me imagine I know what you're talking about. I'll just guess. So if you're in a situation, you're speaking with someone, you're having a conversation, and you're saying maybe you only hear some words, it's not quite clear what you're hearing, you can always ask them. I mean, if not, either you're watching a video, or if you're in a conversation with someone, sometimes you can't ask them to repeat themselves. But if it's a question of understanding, you might try to just remember a particular word and look it up later and get more examples. Let's see. MBO says, the video was bad when you were explaining the meaning of tap into. Please explain it again. You should be able to just watch it after this video is done. I didn't hear from anyone else that the video wasn't working. Let's see, you understood me correctly. Learning a language is something that never ends, in a good and bad way. So it's good when you have fun learning. You're doing an amazing job the way you teach in a light way. Glad to hear it. Yeah, so the point is not to... language learning isn't inherently difficult. It's just that most people don't learn in a way that makes it easy to learn. That's the disconnect there. They're trying to study it or kind of learn about the language by studying words rather than just understanding it directly, the same way a native would. But you just have to do this systematically to make sure it's understandable for you. CNC says, that is not awful. This is like spooky. I don't know. Maybe there are some reasons behind that, like you want to get money, and that's why we're in a hurry all the time. I mean, when we need to learn English. Well, most people would like to do things faster, typically. So it's not just about learning English. It's like if I say, hey, would you like $5 today or $5 in a week? You would say, oh, give me $5 today. So most people would like a result faster. I think the difficult thing for a lot of people is that often there are things in life where we are here and we want to get here, and what we hope is that it's just like that. We hope that's what happens. But usually stuff is like this. You know, we go around and then we finally get to the place we were trying to go. Or maybe we find some new direction or location or goal or something like that. So often it's not like that, and it's frustrating when things are not going the way you want them to go, and that's typically because we have a very specific idea of how we want things to happen. But what I am saying about language learning is that it seems like this, but actually it can be like that. So people think like language learning is supposed to be a very difficult and challenging and frustrating and long process, but it does not have to be. Certainly it takes a while to learn a language, but you could learn it much faster. And so if you have it set up like how I do in Frederick, you can actually learn the language very quickly just going through the app. So it teaches you the language all in the language, and you would learn it very quickly that way. It's just tons of aha moments, and you discover pronunciation and vocabulary and listening. So this is the first in the series of apps that I'll make. But that's how the process works. So in life, sometimes things do work in this way where we don't know exactly how something happens, or we want to do something and we end up doing something different. But language learning should actually be a lot easier than a lot of people make it. All right. So that should be good news for anyone who's trying to learn. Whether you want to get fluent faster or not. I mean, I think most people would rather not necessarily get fluent faster, although it's probably a good thing. But it's like if you're watching a movie, if it's a good movie, you don't want to get through the movie faster. You just want to enjoy the process. And so, like, I go to the theater to enjoy 2 hours of watching the movie and the story and seeing what happens. I'm not trying to get through it as quickly as possible. So again, when you enjoy something, you get to kind of go through the flow of that process, and it should be fun. But often for language learning, it is not like that. Joad says, thanks. And again, let's see, what does reading books regularly out loud give us? I am asking ways to improve enunciation, pronunciation, and clarity in sounds. How long stories it take to get to sound native or close to native, and how? I wouldn't use this approach. If you're really trying to understand how natives sound, don't worry about you speaking. Listen to lots of examples of other people talking. So instead of me trying to read, let's say for Japanese, I could read a long story and read it out loud to myself, or I could listen to 10 different Japanese people read the same short story and actually feel a lot better about listening and pronunciation and all of the other things I need to speak. So this is one of those examples where, like, you can read. Reading is a really great way to improve. Reading out loud is also a good way just to practice using your voice. But as far as speaking, what you really need is certainty. So you need to know for sure, like if you're looking at the examples, there are English grammar examples in your writing, which means you are still maybe thinking in your native language or probably translating before you speak. And so that means you're not learning things all in English and making sure you really understand them in a simple way before you try to make longer, more difficult sentences. So I would go with a simpler approach like me. Even I know a lot of Japanese, but I still enjoy reading Japanese children's books. So it's fun for me. I get to learn a lot. I can also hear examples of them on YouTube, and it works out very well. So I can hear different versions of people reading even the same story, or people telling the story in a slightly different way. But all of those things are giving me certainty and helping me prepare for real communication. So again, if your goal is to be prepared, you really need to feel certain, and to get that certainty, you need lots of examples. MBO says, is ChatGPT a good dictionary? I don't know. I mean, like it can give you more information about things, but ChatGPT can also be incorrect. So I recommend getting examples from a variety of places, just like the question I just answered, talking about how we need to get a variety of things in order to really feel certain and confident about that. Let's see. Kakito says, good morning, Tanaka sensei. Do you think we need to learn grammar to be fluent? Well, yes, but how you learn grammar is important. And so typically, there are two things I do when I'm teaching grammar to people. The first is just making the grammar natural and understandable. So I might be trying to explain something like tap into, or like I gave, bump into versus, crash into or run into, something like that. So those are helping you understand things kind of naturally. So I can give you explanations about things that are more the same way I would explain something to a child, rather than the way I would explain it in an academic or like linguistic kind of way. So it's kind of seeing the grammar in action or getting those examples. But you need to learn grammar, but grammar doesn't need to be in like a different, like its own thing. You actually learn grammar with vocabulary and pronunciation. All of those things are actually together, especially if you learn with native content at your level. All right. And Azar says, thank you. Unfortunately, I will leave your broadcast now and we'll watch the rest later. Okay. Tuck says, when I watch the videos, do I focus on the sounds rather than the auto subtitles? Well, it depends on what your goal is. What are you trying to do? If you're just trying to understand content, if there are actual subtitles for videos, it's literal subtitles, like you're watching a video in English with English subtitles. You can read the subtitles to help you better understand what people are saying. That's certainly fine to do. So you can do both, or you can watch a video one time without worrying about the subtitles and just listen to the sounds and see if you understand things, and then watch it again with the subtitles on and try to focus on those to understand more. So you can review content in various ways to understand it better. Samim says, still struggling with speaking. I work remote and don't talk to people. How to improve it? Any one-to-one conversation classes? So I don't offer one-to-one conversation classes, because even if you spoke with me, there would still be many people in the real world you would not understand. This is why I made Fluent for Life, so people can go through the program, be prepared for a wide range of different speakers, and actually feel confident about learning, even if you don't have someone to speak with. So what I'm talking about in my book also is this process of becoming confident and fluent and certain before you speak. That way, it doesn't matter if you have a speaking partner or you live on a mountain in like a remote area and you can't talk with anybody. Even if you can use the internet, maybe you don't have time or it's uncomfortable for you to speak with people. So you don't need a practice partner. You do need certainty, though. So if you can prepare for that, getting lots of good examples even before you speak, then you will feel a lot more confident when you do have conversations. Gabrielle says, I realize that start watching cartoons is a gradual way to advance, isn't it? Yes. Again, you could watch cartoons or real shows or whatever, stuff for kids or anything else. But yeah, like any of those things can help you. The question is it giving you certainty? So that's another thing I talk about in the book. Raul says, that's a huge bottle of water. It's just a 2-liter. It's not that big, I guess. In America, they have 3-liter bottles, I think. Amazing stuff over there. Well, I have one with the hand there. Sergio, again, excellent class as always. Like always. Thank you. See you soon. And Bogdan says, hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. And DDDM says, thank you, teacher. CNC says, yeah, I've got a point of one. The thing that I learned from you was try to figure out your doubts out with the same language, because is the best way to do that. Yes. So the point is, what you feel uncertain about, this is what's actually leading you to fluency. So the uncertainty is actually a good thing because it's telling you what to improve. So if you think, I'm unsure about this pronunciation, then that's the question you need to answer. And it's easier to answer that when you know what you need. Good morning from Tsukuba, Japan. Well, nice to see you there. Hello from Nagasaki, Japan. All right, looks like we got to the end of the video. All the questions are done, but hopefully people get the idea here. So what I'm talking about, it will be really great for me to finally put all of this in the book and release it for everybody to just go through the process and see how it actually, like how all these things fit together and how you can start doing this yourself. It really is a very simple process to learn languages, and you don't need to spend a lot of time doing it in order to make good improvement either. All right, looks like MBO says, meaning of read into. Read into is more like if I say something, but you think I'm giving you a different meaning. So I say, oh, you look like that shirt looks really nice on you. I'm kind of looking like, yeah, it looks really nice on you. But you think I'm trying to give you some different information, or I don't really mean that. And I say like, oh, you're like, no, I'm not saying anything bad. I really mean that's a nice shirt. You're reading into it if you think I'm giving you some kind of other meaning. So often when people they're getting a message, especially a spoken message, like I say, oh, like good work today. Like maybe I'm actually meaning you like did a bad thing based on how my intonation is, something like that. But in that case, yes, you would be reading into it, and I say, no, like I'm not giving you that bad meaning at all. I really mean you have a nice shirt on. So don't read anything into that. That's what that would mean. All right, good night from Sao Paulo, and look at that. We got through the end. All right, hopefully everyone has enjoyed this video. If you have, please do click the like button and share the video if you know other people who would like to improve. But the book will be out soon if you're already a member of one of my programs, or if you have, I think if you're on the email list as well, you should be getting information about it. But it should be coming out pretty soon. I'm working on the final first version of it when I'll be releasing that, but it should be very soon, and I'm excited to get it out here. Gabriel says, thank you, and then Peter speaks again, so I need to watch that movie, which is called Frederick. I don't know. Well, I'm talking about an app, which is called Frederick, down in the video description. So if you click on that link, you will learn more about that. Raul says, thanks, Drew. God bless you. And we'll end on that note. Have a fantastic day. Click the like button. Click on the links in the description below this video if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you. Frederick can help you immediately. You can start getting these aha moments and discover lots of words and how pronunciation works, all just teaching yourself the same way you would have fun with any kind of little game or puzzle. And Fluent for Life is for really connecting all the dots for having great conversations. So if you'd like to prepare, even if you don't have anyone to speak with, I can help you do that in that program. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.